So the approach now that we've kind of outlined here, you would ask yourself the question, well, why would I do that? Why would I want to adopt this approach compared to a more traditional approach of just comparing my actuals against a budget, or what I call spend plan management? Well, this, first of all, has been adopted by certain parts of the federal government for greater than 40 years. It was originally developed back in the early 60s, used within several of the departments and agencies. Of course, most of you probably know that was DOD. It grew to NASA, DOE. FAA began to experiment with it and use it in selective cases. More recently, OMB has adopted it as a standard project management approach and required all civilian agencies now to use this approach for their major capital investments, at least as it relates to those that are considered information technology or IT investments. This approach basically says that, well, commercial organizations have used it for many years, and now government organizations can adopt and utilize those best practices to try to improve the program management maturity of how they are managing major capital investments. Of course, we think that it will improve performance reporting. It will give you a more transparent view into how much work has been done, what the efficiency is of getting that work done, and what our future experience will be. So as a result, it certainly is not going to guarantee perfect performance. Anyone would be a fool to make that type of a claim. But the notion is that it would identify poor performance sooner, earlier. It would minimize the surprises. I know many of us have been involved with programs that are green, 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 doing great. All of a sudden they fall off a cliff, they're red, and they show up at OMB with their tin cup saying, I need another $200 million in order to finish the project. So the notion is, if you have a more transparent, reliable way of determining how much work has been done, that will have greater fidelity to the reality of what's happening in the project, and it will probably provide us a little bit of a heads up, a little bit of an early warning in terms of where our program is going in the future. And therefore, we would minimize surprises. We also think that having a historical database of this type of information will improve our program plans going forward. And in addition, whereas in the past this technique was typically used only to manage the work delegated to the contractor, now we're using it across the entire program. It doesn't really matter who's doing the work, whether it's the government, a support contractor, or a prime contractor. All of the work is being managed in a consistent way, giving us a consolidated view of program performance. So as I said earlier, it certainly is not going to turn a bad program into a good program, but it might help us recognize programs that are not going to achieve what they set out to do earlier, and then perhaps avoid some poor investments downstream. Now, how do businesses view this? And so what I'd like to do here is share with you some studies that were done in order to determine the value associated with this approach. And these are business metrics that most of you can probably relate to. There are 4 of them. The upper left corner is what's called a CPARS rating, and that is really a measure of customer satisfaction. It's a rating that DoD uses for all of their contractors. Effectively, it's customer satisfaction. And you can see working around, we have return on sales, award fee capture, and company win rates. So this study was done back in 1999 and 2000. It was actually briefed at a Defense Contract Management Command conference in March of 2000. And what the audit team did is they first of all went out to measure, okay, what is the customer satisfaction, return on sales, award fee capture, and win rates of the companies that were studied. And then secondly, what is the program management capability or maturity of those companies? And you can see that there were 5 classifications, from minimally capable to composite world class. Now, in order to be judged best in class, you had to be using an earned value approach in your program management. If you weren't using earned value, you were at best a qualified participant. So each of the companies was judged in terms of their program management capability, and then the two were plotted. And a best degree fit in terms of correlating a line through the data was established, and you can see that here. And you can see that in each of these there is a very high correlation with a more mature, capable program management ability and your customer satisfaction being better, your return on sales being better, you're having better award fee capture, and better win rates. So again, these are pure business metrics used off of a study that was done. There were more than 2,000 projects that were part of this database and part of the study, and I think provides a rather compelling set of reasons as to why a company, a business, might want to implement an earned value approach if they are a project-centric or a program-centric type of organization. Now, we do know that in our current environment, we have both the executive branch and Congress working aggressively to try and make sure that all of our precious dollars are spent well, and that the programs that are supported do produce the intended performance goals that were laid out. Within OMB, one of the key agencies, along with GAO, that are responsible for trying to ensure that the investments are wise and being managed properly. They have developed a team. They've created something called a Chief Performance Officer, who is trying to set really important and well-heeled performance targets, holding agencies and managers responsible for progress. Many of you are familiar with the Information Technology Dashboard, which is a public website now that reports in a very transparent way to the taxpayer exactly how the major investments are progressing, what their current status is, and what the projections are. The EVM certainly is a tool that helps support this in providing that type of data to share with the public to ensure that our investments are sound and wise.